Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the 2019 NFL Draft in terms of wide receiver prospects. This is the top 5 wide receivers in the 2019 NFL Draft based on data and analytics. If you're new to the show, new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions will be in the description. And I'm also happy to announce that the 2019 NFL Draft Analytics Guide is finally finished and has been released. Link is in the description, so if you want to get the 2019 NFL Draft Analytics Guide, which gives you hundreds of profiles on the majority of the top prospects in the 2019 NFL Draft based on data and analytics, go to the link in the description and buy that today. With all that stuff out of the way, let's get to the list. So, in terms of number 5, we have Andy Isabella, wide receiver out of UMass. In terms of production, he had 96.58 in terms of his market share production above the 5-time All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, and 3-time Pro Bowl area, and of course starter area. When you look at the averages of the position, he's above the All-Pro average, above the Pro Bowl average, and above the starter average. And you might be asking yourself, why is someone who has this great of production at number 5? And the reason why is because of his strength of schedule. Andy Isabella is someone who played at UMass. He didn't really play the best of competition consistently, and because of that, it lowers him on this list. He does have good athleticism traits, though. 57.85 in terms of explosion, 95.05 in terms of speed, and 79.51 in terms of flexibility for his size. And the best sort of comp for him is T.Y. Hilton. Very similar production to T.Y. Hilton, very similar athleticism to T.Y. Hilton, and very similar circumstances, as these are both prospects that played lower-level competition. So overall, Andy Isabella has a good chance to be a very good wide receiver at the next level. He could easily be the best wide receiver from this draft class, but there's enough pointing away from that in terms of the schedule that he played, some sort of size limitations. There's other sort of factors to consider, but overall, he's a very good wide receiver prospect. Has a chance to be the top wide receiver in this class, but there are some question marks in terms of his strength of schedule. And of course, at number 4, we have Stanley Morgan Jr. out of Nebraska. When you look at his production, he had 75.43 in terms of his market share production. Doesn't hit the 5-time All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, but does sit above the 3-time Pro Bowl area. When you look at the averages of the position, doesn't hit the All-Pro average, Pro Bowl average, or starter average, but definitely is very close to those averages. And his athleticism is very good as well. 84.81 in terms of explosion, 56.77 in terms of speed, and 55.36 in terms of flexibility for his size. Athleticism-wise, he is very, very good. He basically has potential to be like a Golden Tate-like wide receiver. Someone that may not be the best wide receiver out of the box, but definitely someone who can contribute right away and also become a major contributor down the line. So Stanley Morgan Jr. is probably one of the more underrated wide receivers in this draft class just because of those factors. And of course, we get to Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State. When you look at his production, 86.92 in terms of his market share production, pretty much hits about the 5-time All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowl, and long-term starter area. When you look at the averages at the position, doesn't really hit above the All-Pro average or Pro Bowl average, but he is very close to the Pro Bowl average and definitely is above the starter average. And has very good athleticism traits as well. In terms of his athleticism traits, he was someone who was in the 80th percentile in terms of his explosion and very close to the 80th percentile in terms of speed for his size. Major factors that go against Hakeem Butler really come down to the fact that he's sort of a mystery because he was productive, but he really only broke out until this year. And the other thing is, Alan Lazard was someone who was preventing him from breaking out, and Alan Lazard is not exactly tearing it up in the NFL right now. But Hakeem Butler is just someone I see has just a ton of physical potential. He's someone that, based on my sort of comparisons in my mind, he reminds me a lot of Keyshawn Johnson in terms of his size, his frame, what he can do with the ball in his hands. Hakeem Butler has that potential. And he's another wide receiver in this draft class where he could easily be the top wide receiver in this class if he goes to the right situation and catches on. But overall, he's number 3 in this list just because, again, of those multiple factors. It's because of his age. It's because of the fact that he really only broke out until his last year. He still has immense potential. he's still someone that, even though he broke out in his final year, he still had a very, very productive year that really showed and displayed a lot of traits that could potentially turn him into the best wide receivers in this class. But because of those 1 year question marks, it drops him down to number 3 in this list. Then, of course, you get to number 2 in this list, which is A.J. Brown, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. When you look at his production, he has 71.64 in terms of passing yardage market share production. Doesn't hit the 5-time All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, but does hit above the 3-time Pro Bowl area and, of course, the starter area. Looking at the averages, doesn't really hit the All-Pro average, Pro Bowl average, or starter average, but definitely is very close to those averages. And you may be saying to yourself, okay, A.J. Brown is not exactly as productive as all the other wide receivers that he's ahead of. Why is he number 2 in this list? And the reason why is because of, one, his strength of schedule. He played one of the toughest competitions in college football. And on top of that, he had to share touches with DK Metcalf. As much as people are all on DK Metcalf and they love DK Metcalf and they can't get enough of DK Metcalf, and let me tell you about the good news about DK Metcalf. Listen, A.J. Brown was the one that was the productive wide receiver at Ole Miss. A.J. Brown was the one that was getting the majority of the impact at Ole Miss. Not DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown. And I feel like A.J. Brown is getting a little bit lost in the shuffle. I mean, A.J. Brown is just better than DK Metcalf in every way. And not only that, in terms of athleticism, A.J. Brown is better as well. As a all-around athlete, A.J. Brown is better than DK Metcalf because A.J. Brown had a 75.82 explosion score, 94.22 speed score, and the biggest difference is the flexibility score, 94.47 in terms of flexibility. Metcalf was someone who had below average flexibility for his size, and A.J. Brown is well above average in that way. So A.J. Brown is basically the more productive wide receiver at Ole Miss, the more athletic wide receiver at Ole Miss. He has the better tape in terms of just route running ability. So, I understand everybody likes DK Metcalf and they like his potential and what he could potentially be at the next level, but A.J. Brown is the guy who's more likely going to be successful. And that is why he's number 2 on this list, just because of those factors. And at number 1, we have N'Keal Harry out of Arizona State, someone that was considered widely to be the top wide receiver in this class before the season even started, according to some, and stays that way right now. Based on his production, 88.16 in terms of his market share production, above 5-time All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowl, and long-term starter areas. When you look at the averages, he doesn't hit the All-Pro average, but he is close to the Pro Bowl average and, of course, close to the starter average. And the main thing that everybody criticized N'Keal Harry about this entire season was that he wasn't athletic and that he wasn't going to test athletic and he was going to run 4.6 or 4.7. And, don't look at the film. Don't look at that play that he had on special teams because it's just the angles, guys. It's the angles. The angles are making him look fast. Well, he actually was fast for his size. 97.44 in terms of explosion, 89.52 in terms of speed, and 83.80 in terms of flexibility for his size. In many ways, he's like a souped-up version of Des Bryant, and that's just what it is. N'Keal Harry is easily the best wide receiver in this draft class. I really don't have any comparisons for him because what I try to remind you guys is instead of doing comparisons, just look at the facts. N'Keal Harry is a big, athletic, and productive wide receiver. Most of the time, big, athletic, productive wide receivers become good players at the NFL level, if not great players at the NFL level. So I really don't have much else to say about N'Keal Harry. Great profile, great potential, and he's easily the top wide receiver in this draft class based on the overall data. So overall, when it comes to the 2019 NFL draft class, when it comes to wide receiver, the one thing I can say is there's a lot of wide receivers in this class that have potential to be the top wide receiver, but there's no clear cut you can hang your hat on. This is the top wide receiver in this class. There is a case to be made that Hakeem Butler becomes the top wide receiver in this class. There's a case to be made that N'Keal Harry, probably the best case, that N'Keal Harry becomes the best wide receiver in this class. There's a case to be made that A.J. Brown could become the best wide receiver in this class. There's a case that Isabella could become the best wide receiver in this class from a production standpoint. He's probably always going to be underrated just because of his size, but definitely someone that I think has the potential to, be more productive than everyone in this class. So that's just how I view this draft class, is that there is so many guys who could potentially be the top one that really is the biggest thing that kind of hurts the class or is detrimental to the class. But I still think this is a very good class. There's a lot of starters. There's a lot of guys that have potential to be better. And I think if your team drafts one of these wide receivers, you should be excited and you should be hopeful that they can translate at the next level. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification bell in case you want to be reminded when another video of mine drops. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.